This week on Rock Feed After Dark, your weekly rock and metal news show where we catch you up on the biggest stories of the week, plus new music releases. It has been a dizzying week in rock, to say the least, with two big rock bands announcing major departures from the group, plus a huge surprise on the way for that final historic Ozzy Osbourne performance taking place later this year, plus signs of slowing ticket sales in rock music and in concerts in general. A very surprising announcement from Linkin Park in that regard. We've got so much to get to, including that brand new track from Sleep Token from their highly anticipated new record, Even in Arcadia. Stick around, we've got so much to get to. I'm so excited for Rock the Country. 9 massive shows bringing country and rock legends to your hometown, featuring your co-headliners Kid Rock and Nickelback, and so much more. Get passes and full details at rockthecountry.com. Now, one of the biggest stories this week that definitely caught my attention was a shocking one, a surprising announcement from the mighty Linkin Park, who recently announced their highly anticipated reunion with a new vocalist, none other than Emily Armstrong. They released that album From Zero, and immediately when they first put that From Zero World Tour on sale, it showed that ticket sales were very strong. And how could they not be? The band has a massive back catalog, a beloved, locked-in global fan base, but even a band as legendary as Linkin Park is dealing with slumping ticket sales. It's not the first time either. We learned late last year about the shocking cancellation of Sick New World Festival shortly after that announcement, and that comes following Linkin Park and Metallica as the co-headliner there in Vegas. There have been some reports about possibly economic strain, not seeing as much tourism there in Las Vegas, and I think in the past where you had System of a Down playing there, they are very, very rare. You don't get to see them much. So it came as a big surprise with that cancellation, but it's somewhat understandable when you think about that because you have Linkin Park playing nationwide and Metallica also doing stadiums nationwide, so the draw to fly in from even around the world to see a band like System of a Down wasn't necessarily there. But things got really interesting when Linkin Park quietly kind of announced that they were going to be downgrading a venue on September 13th in their hometown of Los Angeles. Now, the band was scheduled to perform at Dodger Stadium. It would have been a massive, massive show with a capacity of around 56,000 people. But they've downgraded it to a much smaller arena and also dropped a support act off of the bill, none other than Queens of the Stone Age. Here's what went down in this situation. Now, Linkin Park announced they would be downgrading the show from Dodger Stadium, which has that capacity of around 56,000, to the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, where they will be dropping Queens of the Stone Age and going with JPEG Mafia. Now, in a statement at the time, released around the same time as their new single Up From the Bottom, they shared, "If you purchased tickets previously for the Los Angeles show, you will be refunded." So they're actually refunding all those tickets, and it says, "and have your first shot at buying tickets at the Intuit Dome. Can't wait to see you there." So they aren't just leaving the tickets accessible to new people who are showing up. They're also just completely refunding everybody who bought those tickets. So it was interesting to see because by any stretch of the imagination, Linkin Park is still a massive, hugely successful band. And look, it has been controversial. There's a lot of people who say, look, with no Chester, we don't listen to this, we don't want to hear it. But a ton of people have also gotten on board. They're still a massive band, they're still hugely successful, but it's not necessarily meeting the expectations that they had in terms of ticket sales. And this Intuit Dome show is still big, but it's really interesting to see. But that's not just where it ends. There were also 2 shows that were scheduled down in Brazil. Of course, that's a highly anticipated performance that have quietly disappeared from Linkin Park's touring schedule. These shows were scheduled to take place in Rio de Janeiro and another town, Porto Alegre. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Both of them have gone away, and they were initially announced as TBA on the venues, and it looks like those shows aren't going to happen. So I'm not exactly sure what is happening in the world of Linkin Park right now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. It's really interesting to me just because of how big I expected this return to be and how big it was, quite frankly. But to see these tickets not selling up to expectations, it makes you wonder what exactly is going on here. For sure, there is some financial strain that's going on with fans that is leading to this. So let me know your thoughts and let's move on. And next up, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine definitely raised some eyebrows with some recent comments he made about that final historic performance from Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. Now, Tom Morello is not just performing at the event, he's also literally the music director, so he's heavily involved in planning. So what he has to say about this is really interesting. And when they first announced this show, obviously I knew it was going to be music history. So much so that I thought, the original lineup is going to change, because people who weren't aware of this performance were going to say, hold on a second, that's Ozzy Osbourne. We got to go out and see this one last time, pay respect to the GOAT. And that appears to be what is happening, because Tom Morello is saying that there are surprises that are bigger than all of the guests that are already announced, which is shocking because Metallica is also playing at this once-in-a-lifetime performance. Here's what Tom had to say about this exciting event. In a recent interview with Australian musician, Tom was asked about where things stand with his role as the musical director, where the preparation is at, and he said, "We had a big meeting about that earlier today. It came about because Ozzy and Sharon asked me to they surprised me one day and said, there's going to be one more Black Sabbath show, all 4 original members, the last ever Ozzy Osbourne show. We want to have a big day of celebration, and will you help curate it?" And I was like, well, that's crazy, but yes, of course. Heavy metal is the music that made me love music, and Black Sabbath invented heavy metal. And Ozzy Osbourne, by discovering the guitarist Randy Rhoads, created through Randy Rhoads the music that inspired me to practice 8 hours a day. So I owe a great debt to Ozzy and to Black Sabbath, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And this is the part where Tom Morello reveals some very exciting details about what fans can expect at this legendary global event that will shape not just rock and metal music, but will also have an impact on music at large. And that's how big and influential Ozzy has been over the course of his career. He says, "Where it's at now, first of all, when we first sat down, we had a very, very simple goal, and that's to make this the greatest day in the history of heavy metal. And to that end, you've probably seen the listed set list, and let me tell you, there's some huge superstars who are going to be surprises on that day. So the idea is to really acknowledge the importance of that band in a way that the whole world will forever know it. And we've already seen Guns N' Roses and Tool added to that lineup, so these surprises are surely going to be earth-shattering considering just how iconic the lineup already is. You have members of Sleep Token, you have Fred Durst, you have Jonathan Davis of Korn, you have David Draymond of Disturbed, you have Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins also making an appearance, and it sounds like they're going to be playing up on stage as supergroups. I couldn't be more excited about this, and anyone who's able to be in attendance here is surely going to be witnessing very important rock and metal music history. I'd like to give a very special shout out to my feed fam for directly supporting my work. These are the ones you see in the comments with the custom badges next to their name. They get early access to interviews, emojis, and so much more. If you'd like to support, you can sign up right through YouTube at the link in the description. It's just $5, but it makes a very big difference, so thank you to the feed fam. With the new Ghost track Satanized out everywhere now, over the years, Ghost has faced a lot of backlash from people who say that they are a Satan-worshipping band. And so Tobias is addressing some controversy that the lyrical content of this track has faced. He's clarifying it's actually not a track that glorifies Satan. That is what he's saying. Really interesting. Here's what Tobias had to say in this new interview about this track. In a recent interview, speaking to Mistress Carrie, Tobias opened up about the meaning of the track. He says, "I don't know exactly what everybody thinks that song Satanized is about, but it is about degrading yourself, devaluing yourself for feeling something completely normal and human." Interestingly enough, Tobias says the song actually isn't about Satan at all. He says, that song is not about Satan at all. I don't know if anybody here believes that, but it's not at all. He said, there's nothing blasphemous actually about that song, because it's about being in love and not knowing how to tackle an emotion like that. Because it feels like you're being possessed and you're being torn apart by those strong feelings, and love is lethal. It's a fun way to explain it from the eyes of the church traditionally, where love and lust is something to be frowned upon and exercise because it's wrong. It disturbs the order, especially because they want you to pay their bills and submit. So to be fair, the song is literally called Satanized, and he's referencing kind of the implications of the church and talking about how they want you to pay their bills. So it kind of is. So the people that are from the church community who are offended by this track, it's understandable, but I also understand where Tobias is coming from, where he's saying, look, there is actually a deeper meaning in this message. And, you know, you look at the band, it's a lot of imagery, it's a lot of aesthetics, it's a lot of cinema, and they've done that very well over the course of their career. So I think it's just relatively harmless and benign. But yeah, Ghost, one of the biggest rock bands out right now, and Satanized has been winning over a lot of fans. And on to the next story. Now, as we just spoke about Ozzy Osbourne's final and historic performance, Sharon Osbourne is opening up about how Black Sabbath's legacy might carry forward. Now, there's been a lot of technology advancing and evolving. Things are constantly changing. So when she was asked in this interview if the band would consider maybe being a part of something like that ABBA-style hologram show, which has really gotten a lot of props from people from being like scary realistic, she said, sure, I would. Yeah, technology keeps moving on and on. You can do incredible things now. So what you could do in 5 years will be even better. She said, you never know what the opportunities are. And other bands have also jumped on this technology, with Kiss famously announcing how they intended to move forward with something like that at the end of their career, literally at the very end of their so-called final show. The band's playing again, but they say they're not really breaking their promise to their fans because they're not wearing makeup at that Kiss convention. It's a whole thing. But anyways, let's move on. Kid Rock made headlines this week when he joined President Trump in the Oval Office for an executive order that he signed aimed at dealing with ticket scalpers and the secondary market, plus pricing transparency, bots, all of that stuff. We've heard so much here about ticket affordability and just issues from fans getting access when they're selling out instantly. A lot of people wondering, are these just being snatched up by bots? Well, apparently they plan to do something about that, even getting the Attorney General involved to deal with this problem that has affected concert goers for many years. Now, the Biden administration has also taken action against this. Interestingly enough, while the left and the right don't really agree on much, they do seem to agree that there is a genuine problem with concert ticket prices. So President Trump's executive order really adds to what was also done in that previous administration. Here's what went down. President Trump signed the executive order, which is aimed at directing the Federal Trade Commission to work with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to make sure that the competition laws that are in place are actually enforced to deal with the ridiculous issues facing concert goers. Now, one of the things that they're working towards is ensuring price transparency. Now, we saw a couple of years ago they did this with Ticketmaster, where they agreed to show their prices up front, including all the fees. This takes that a little bit further, where you're going to see it on the resale sites as well. Now, Kid Rock was there wearing this bedazzled America patriotic outfit that got a lot of people bent out of shape. I thought it was a pretty cool outfit. He also spoke on this and said that he hopes it's just the beginning, because there are a lot of problems to be solved with this. President Trump told reporters in the room, I've spoken to him over the years about it, and it bothers him, talking about Kid Rock. It bothers a lot of other artists. They go out with a $100 ticket and it sells for $2,000 the following night. Now, the president said he actually didn't know much about the issue until Kid Rock brought it to his attention. So Kid Rock is actually having a big influence on this situation. He said, I checked it out and it is a big problem. He then asked Kid Rock to say a few words, and Kid Rock addressed the reporters saying, I want the fans to have fair ticket prices to be able to go enjoy more shows. I'd like to take my ticket price lower, but if I set my ticket prices low, these bots immediately eat them up and they resell for hundreds of dollars more, and I'm just making these bad actors rich. And he has a point. Unfortunately, that is happening a lot. Now, the executive order also calls for increased enforcement of an act that's already on the books called the BOTS Act, or the Better Online Ticket Sales Act. It's back from 2016, and it allows the FTC to take action against individuals or companies that are buying up a lot of tickets and reselling them. Of course, that would be incredibly unfair if people are using technology to mass purchase concert tickets and then just bump the prices up. So I think that this is a bipartisan issue. Both parties are interested in dealing with this, and it's welcome for concert fans who are just sick of dealing with this and having concert tickets that are just not affordable. And now we have two major shakeups in big rock bands this week, both of them announcing multiple departures from the group. First, let's get to Godsmack, who took the stage when they kicked off their European tour. without two key members of the band, Shannon Larkin and Tony Rombola, and there were a lot of questions about that. Sully, in an interview from that tour, addressed the situation, saying they had a lot to figure out. They weren't sure whether or not they were going to continue with the band. He was pretty straightforward. That was commendable. But then a couple of days later, we had Shannon Larkin releasing a video message revealing that he and Tony Rombola had actually quit the band months prior. This is what he said at the time. He said in part, "We did quit the band last year after lots of talking to Sully and Robbie, and they understood that we didn't want to tour anymore. That's the reason. We understood that they wanted to tour, and so we understood each other, and in the end, Godsmack's out there touring, and we are out here happily living our lives. Tony's turning 60. I'm turning 58. It's not a physical thing. We just want to be home with everything that we love. 40 years I've been touring, 28 years for Rombola. We're getting a little older, so we decided to quit." Now, shortly after publishing that video, he actually took it down, and we've got a statement from Godsmack that explains the situation further. They shared, "To our dearest friends and fans, we send this message to all of you to share some bittersweet news with you regarding a significant change in our journey together. After almost 3 incredible decades, 2 of our most cherished members, Tony Rombola and Shannon Larkin, have decided to retire from the band permanently on good terms, but for no other reason than to fulfill their desire to live a more simple and quiet life away from touring. The decision was not made lightly. Tony and Shannon have been such a big part of our history, bringing their unique talents, creativity, and passion that have shaped our music and our message. Together, we have experienced countless unforgettable moments and heartfelt interactions with fans like you around the world. We are immensely grateful for every memory we've created together. The departure marks the end of an era, but it also opens the door for new and exciting possibilities. We want to assure you that Shannon and Tony will always be a part of our family, and their contributions will forever echo in our music. We respect their decisions and support them wholeheartedly as they pursue their own individual paths. Robbie and I are also excited to explore new directions, and although we have not made any permanent decisions about who may replace Tony and Shannon, we will be continuing this journey together, and we look forward to sharing the decisions we make with all of you as they happen. And it's always sad to see a split from a band, especially with 2 highly influential members in the group, but it is good to see that they're handling it with respect for one another, and how could they not with the incredible history that they have. Now, we also got a big announcement from Bad Wolves with 2 members also departing that group. There's been a lot of history there. We have Doc and Kyle both leaving the band. This is what they had to say about their departure. First, guitarist Doc Coyle took to social media to announce his departure from the group that he was a member of for nearly a decade. He told fans, "Dear Wolfpack, I regret to inform you that I have decided to part ways with Bad Wolves. It was not an easy decision to make. I have been playing with the band for almost 9 years, so this is a massive life change for me. It should be said that this is a completely amicable split. I love John, Kyle, DL, and AJ. Not being in the trenches going forward with my boys is the hardest part of all of this, but this has been coming for a long while, and I think my time in the band has just run its course. I am still rooting for Bad Wolves to take over the world, and it warms my heart knowing that our old guitarist, Chris Kane, is coming back to take the baton from me on lead guitar. I won't provide an in-depth explanation for why I'm leaving at the moment. I'm sure I'll share more details at some point when it's appropriate. I feel like I've lost a bit of who I am as a creative and where my passion lies. Being in this band has brought challenges that have taken quite an emotional toll and burned me out. Through the ups and downs, I've done everything in my power to make Bad Wolves successful. I'm very proud of our work, the albums we made, and overcoming the adversity we faced. But it's time for a fresh start. Breaking out the way we did in 2018 gave me a second chapter to my career that I could never have dreamed of. Being in our late 30s and receiving #1 singles, gold albums, and arena tours right out of the gate was a stunning achievement. I'll always be grateful for the opportunities and doors that have opened since I was in Bad Wolves, and I'm proud of the fact that it inspired many musicians to keep grinding it out. If we could do it, you could do it. I want to thank everyone who worked with the band all these years, everyone at 10th Street Management, Better Noise Music, Eric and MSK, Independent Artist Group, every single crew member we've had, everyone who's written songs with us or done production work on any of our albums. But most of all, I want to thank the Bad Wolves fans. Your dedication has been a true inspiration. We've gotten each other through lots of hard times. The Wolfpack really is a family to me. Anytime I've had the chance to meet you in person, give you a hug, share your story, or take a picture together has meant the world to me. I will forever be grateful for your support. What's next? I'm not sure. But for the first time in a long time, I have nothing on the books. My schedule is wide open. That frightens me and excites me. I'm writing music. I'm on a journey to find out what the hell it is I want in life. And it's okay to not have all the answers right now. If you know me, you know that I'm not very good at staying idle. So I'm sure I'll see you all very soon. And Konkiel also echoed that sentiment, releasing a statement of his own. After 8 incredible years, I've decided to step down from Bad Wolves. This wasn't an easy choice, but after much reflection, I know in my heart that I can no longer give this band 100%. And anything less wouldn't be fair to the music, my bandmates, or the fans. There are so many things I still want to accomplish in my career, and I feel now is the time to explore new creative paths, whether on my own or in a new project. The memories, the shows, and the experiences over the past near decade will always hold a special place in my heart. I wish John, DL, and AJ nothing but success and will continue to cheer them on however I can. And as for my brother Doc, you already know I've got his back for life. We've been through more together than most bands ever do, and my support doesn't end here. To all the incredible fans, crew, and fellow musicians I've met along the way, thank you. Your support has meant everything, and I look forward to crossing paths again in whatever comes next. This isn't the end, just the start of a new chapter. Now, several years ago, the band publicly parted ways with former vocalist Tommy Vext, and it was a contentious split to say the least, and you kind of hear them alluding to that in the comments, facing a lot of adversity and backlash online. Very public war of words between them, but Tommy Vext actually in the Rock Feed comments wished them well. He said, wishing everyone peace and a prosperous future. And let's talk about some big announcements this week. Architects, who you've seen on the channel multiple times, have announced a big North American tour. I absolutely love their new album, The Sky, the Earth, and All Between. They're going to be hitting the road with support from Era and Holy Water. I've got the dates up on your screen, and in my opinion, I'm not just saying this, I strongly recommend going to see Architects, absolutely one of the best live bands out. They put on one hell of a show. Let me know if you've seen them live down in the comments. And we've also got Marilyn Manson adding a number of new US dates and European tour dates as well. Headline shows there for Marilyn Manson, who's been winning over crowds. He's now over 4 years sober, and he's putting on some of the best performances of his career. Truly, that's what I'm hearing from the fans over and over again. And we've also got a big announcement from BABYMETAL, who just announced their new record called Metal 4th, which is releasing on June 13th. And look at these features. You've got Poppy, Spiritbox, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, Slaughter to Prevail, and so many others. This is an exciting record. Always love BABYMETAL, so looking forward to hearing this new record, Metal 4th. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the most anticipated song of the week, maybe even the month. We've got the new track from the mighty Sleep Token, Caramel. Am I pronouncing it correctly? I'd love to hear your thoughts about this track down in the comments, coming from their new album, Even in Arcadia, releasing in just a few weeks, as the band is absolutely skyrocketing in fame right now. They're headlining Download Fest. It's the fastest rise of any band that I have seen up to this point since I started Rock Feed, so I'm so excited for them. I want to hear your thoughts about this new track down in the comments. And as always, if you're new here, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment to hit that subscribe button. And if you really want the best way to support, consider joining my wonderful Feed fam, who are absolutely making this show possible. Only $5, the cost of a cup of coffee. Join right here at the link in the description, right through YouTube. Only takes a second. We'll see you next week here on Rock Feed After Dark, and keep it locked to the channel for your daily regular news updates. Again, appreciate you joining, and I'll see you next week.